Arizona's scariest legends, skinwalkers, ghosts, and the Red Ghost Part 2. Gila monsters and the creatures of the desert. Not cryptids, but legendary, Gila monsters are real, venomous lizards native to the Southwest and have often been exaggerated into something much larger and more dangerous in frontier-era stories. The Gilaopolis is a critter based on the Gila, from the original fearsome creatures of the Lumberwoods, with a few desert and mountain beasts by William T. Cox, a fabulous collection of made-up creatures gathered from across the U.S., and many featuring in tall tales like those of Paul Bunyan. Some Apache tales describe giant lizards or horned reptiles guarding water sources in the desert, and early settlers, unfamiliar with the Gila's slow-moving but poisonous bite, sometimes described it as a desert dragon capable of killing with a stare or breathing venom. Arizona ghost stories and haunted places. Once a copper mining town with a reputation for violence and vice, Jerome is now widely known as one of the most haunted places in Arizona. During its boom in the early 20th century, it was nicknamed the wickedest town in the West. Today, several of its buildings are said to be inhabited by the spirits of former residents. The Jerome Grand Hotel, formerly a hospital, is considered the epicenter of paranormal activity. Guests report disembodied voices, footsteps, and the sound of hospital equipment still in use. Other haunted locations include the Mile High Inn and the Spirit Room Saloon. Hotel Monte Vista, Flagstaff. This historic hotel, operating since 1927, has hosted numerous celebrities over the decades. It's also become known for its ghost stories. Staff and guests have reported multiple entities, including a phantom bellboy who knocks on doors and vanishes, a woman who wanders the halls whispering, and a long-term resident whose presence is said to linger in room 305. The hauntings are consistent enough that some rooms are now marketed with their ghost stories in mind. The Birdcage Theater, Tombstone is closely tied to Wild West folklore, and the Birdcage Theater is one of its most enduring landmarks. Originally a saloon, gambling hall, and brothel, it operated around the clock for 8 years straight during the 1880s. Its bullet holes and preserved rooms reflect the violent, lawless environment. Today, it's a museum and one of Arizona's most frequently investigated haunted sites. Visitors and staff have reported ghostly music, apparitions dressed in 19th century clothing, and unexplained voices. The identities of the spirits remain uncertain, though some are believed to be former performers or patrons. Slaughterhouse Canyon, Luana's Canyon, near Kingman. This legend dates to the mid-1800s and tells of a family living in a remote canyon during a time of hardship. When the father failed to return from a supply trip, the mother, overcome by hunger and grief, killed her children and threw their bodies into the nearby river. She's said to still wander the canyon, crying out in sorrow. The story closely mirrors that of La Llorona, mentioned earlier, a weeping woman tied to water and loss. While there's no record confirming the event, like many frontier ghost tales, it's one that mixes tragedy with moral warning. Yuma Territorial Prison. Now a historic state park, the Yuma Territorial Prison operated from 1876 to 1909 and housed some of the region's most dangerous criminals. Conditions were harsh and many inmates died from disease, violence, or suicide. Today, the site is open to visitors, some of whom report cold spots, disembodied voices, and apparitions. The dark cell, used for solitary confinement, is especially noted for producing intense unease and physical sensations like dizziness or nausea. Indigenous beliefs and sacred places. San Francisco Peaks, Dukuth. Located near Flagstaff, the San Francisco Peaks are sacred to multiple tribes, including the Hopi, Navajo, Havasupai, and Zuni. The Navajo regard the peaks as one of their 4 sacred mountains, representing the western boundary of their traditional homeland, and associate the area with spiritual beings and weather powers. The Hopi believe the Kachinas, ancestral spirit messengers, live in the peaks during the winter months before returning to Hopi mesas in spring. Because of this, the mountains play a central role in ceremonial cycles. Modern development on the peaks, including the use of artificial snow on ski slopes, has caused ongoing legal and cultural disputes between tribes and local governments. Canyon de Chelly. This canyon system in northeastern Arizona has been inhabited for nearly 5,000 years, most recently by the Navajo, who still live and farm within its walls. The area contains ancient cliff dwellings, petroglyphs, and sites of historical trauma, including the 1864 Long Walk, when the U.S. military forcibly removed the Navajo from their land. Many Navajo stories describe the canyon as spiritually charged. Some say spirits linger in the high cliffs and that certain areas should be avoided at night. Guides often tell of unexplained sounds, lights, or sensations reported by visitors. Superstition Mountains east of Phoenix. The Superstition Mountains are known for both indigenous traditions and settler legends. Apache oral history describes the area as containing portals to the underworld and as the home of thunder spirits. Specific details vary between sources, but the mountain is often treated as a dangerous place where one shouldn't hang about without purpose. The mountains are also associated with the legend of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine, see below. But long before this mine myth, the region was treated as spiritually significant by the Apache and other tribes. Montezuma Well and Montezuma Castle. Like the mythical character referenced earlier, these sites also have no direct connection to the Aztec ruler Montezuma. The well and castle are located in central Arizona and were inhabited by the Sinagua people, a pre-Columbian culture related to the Hopi. The well is a natural limestone sinkhole filled by underground springs and supports a unique ecosystem. Local tribes, including the Yavapai and Hopi, consider the well a place of emergence, where life came into being or where spirits dwell. It's used in some contemporary ceremonies, and access to certain areas is restricted out of respect for ongoing spiritual practice. Folktales and historical legends. The Lost Dutchman's gold mine. One of the most famous legends in the American West, the Lost Dutchman's gold mine is supposedly hidden somewhere in the Superstition Mountains. The story centers on Jacob Waltz, a German immigrant referred to as the Dutchman, who allegedly discovered a massive gold vein in the 1800s and took its location to the grave. Since then, dozens of would-be treasure hunters have searched the area, books and documentaries have been made, and rescue missions enacted, but no gold has ever been officially recovered. The legend likely combines real 19th century mining claims with older Spanish and Apache stories about hidden wealth in the region. El Diablo of Bisbee. In the late 19th century, Bisbee was a booming mining town with a violent streak. One recurring story from the area tells of a shadowy outlaw known as El Diablo, described as a tall, silent rider dressed in black who would appear before disasters, mine collapses, fires, or shootings, and vanish afterward. Some versions of the tale describe him as a cursed gunslinger or the devil in disguise. Though no single historical figure matches the story exactly, reports of a mysterious horseman or lawless spirit have been told in Bisbee for more than a century. Apache trickster tales, Coyote and Raven. Among the Western Apache and Tonto Apache peoples, oral stories of Coyote, Mai, and Raven serve as both entertainment and moral instruction. Coyote is a classic trickster figure, clever, reckless, sometimes foolish, who often causes trouble for himself and others. Raven can play a similar role or act as Coyote's rival. These stories aren't considered folk tales in a European sense, but are part of a living oral tradition. They explain natural phenomena, human behavior, and the origin of cultural practices. Versions vary between groups, but many are still told today in community settings and adapted in educational contexts. Sacred desert plants and folk medicine in Arizona. Creosote bush, Laurea tridentita. Used by the Tohono O'odham, Pima, and others, creosote is a desert staple in both medicine and cleansing practices. It's used to treat colds, skin conditions, and joint pain, and is sometimes burned for spiritual purification, especially after death or illness. The plant's strong smell, especially after rain, is often associated with protection and recovery. Devil's claw, Proboscidea parviflora. Devil's claw is known for its hooked seed pods and was commonly used in basketry and salves. Some stories say its unusual form marks the path of a trickster. While not central to ceremonial life, its design and durability gave it symbolic weight, and its seeds and roots were sometimes used in remedies. Yucca, Yucca baccata and others. Yucca played a practical and spiritual role for many tribes. The roots were used as soap in purification rites, particularly before ceremonies or after contact with the dead. The fibers were used for sandals, rope, and ritual items. Among the Western Apache, yucca is sometimes associated with cleansing not just the body but the space around it. Mesquite, Prosopis spp. The tree's role in providing shelter, food, tools, and medicine made it a symbol of generosity and endurance. Saguaro cactus, Carnegie gigantea. Among the Tohono O'odham, the saguaro is part of a rain ceremony held during the cactus fruit harvest. The fruit is fermented into wine and consumed during a multi-day ritual that calls for summer rains. Saguaros are also personified in some oral traditions, believed to be former people who now stand watch over the desert.